Tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou e mātakitaki mai nei, I tēnei o ngā pāpā o mata ora. O tērā ki koutou rā e whakarongo mai ki runga I tō tātou nei taonga, tō tātou nei whētuki manua, te korimako o Taranaki, koe nei ngā mei mata kuikui ki koutou katoa. No mātou te honore me ki, ko tai mai tēnei kuikui ki Wainganui a tātou I tēnei wā, ana ko wai ia, ko Ria Julian. Tēnā koe Ria, ana ka tuku te rākau ki aia ki te whakamoho atu ki tātou katoa, ko wai ia, no hia ia, aua āhuatanga katoa. Thank you for joining us, Ria. It's wonderful to have you amongst us all this morning. So I'm going to pass the rākau over to you for you to introduce yourself to everyone who is listening.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Tararua te maunga, ko Oho te awa, ko Tainui te waka, ko Korihia te amarai, ko Ngāti te Korihia te hapu, ko Ngāti Raukawa te iwi. Ko Hobson mea ko Seymour, tōku tūpuna, ko Ria Julian, tōku ingoa. Ko Calvin Julian, tōku tānei. I can't leave them out. Yeah. Yeah, so...
No.
Go on.
You definitely can't leave out Calvi. You can't leave out Calvi.
No, you can't leave out Calvi at all. I originate from Levin. That's where I was brought up. I went to Levin Primary School and Horowhenua College. We were brought up in a blended whānui. We lived on a pig farm. So there were 7 siblings. So there were 7 of us. 4 from the previous relationship and 3 others, and I was part of the 3, and I was one of the oldest. So there was 3 girls. Mum and Dad had 3 girls. And prior to that, Dad was married to my mum's sister, and she died at 29. And so Mum and Jeffrey, he was the youngest. And so she went in and looked after them, I guess. And obviously they got together. So then there was, along come the 3 of us. So there was myself, Peggy and Pat. And so we were really spoiled. It was not like being it's not as such as a blended whānau, really. We were really spoilt by our older siblings. And I used to, when I went to school, my first day of school, well, my brother took me, and I remember I don't know whether you remember the bikes when they had this basket in the front where you sat on the front. So that's where I sat on the bus, and he took me to school. I hated it. Oh, and I cried, and he used to, because the primers and the standards were separated, and so he couldn't come through. So I used to go over by the hedge and talk to me. I hated it. I hated school for it. I don't know, and I did for quite, most of my time really. I wasn't great, but we lived, Makamaka Road was where we lived, and we lived on a pig farm. We lived next to the race course, and us girls, my gosh, I tell you what, Mum and Dad were quite avid. My youngest brother, he used to play rugby, and they used to go and watch all the time, and on a Saturday. And one particular Saturday. So the girl next door used to come over. Glenys Malmo was her name. She used to come over. And anyway, so her and Peggy, they decided, we could go down to the dairy and get some lollies. We'll take the Bedford truck down. Here we are. We're young, very young wahine. And okay.
Like, hang on a minute. Like, how young? How young were you?
Well, I don't even think I was at high school. At primary school.
And Peggy's younger than you?
Yeah, And so there was Peggy, myself, Peggy, Pat, and Glenys. And Peg drove, and Glenys, she was a real tomboy. So off we go. In the truck, we get it going, get out the gate, start going down the road, and it stopped, and we couldn't get it going again. However, good initiative. Peg says, I'll go and get the tractor and I'll push it back. And she did. And it got back, we put it back to where it was, and there it stood. We think no one knew, but I mean, we've told the story of late, but yeah, we don't know that anyone knew. But yeah.
So
we just did that.
So
yeah, I know.
Basically, you pushed it back into the yard with a tractor, and you left it there, and no one. So did it start okay for your parents the next day, and no one was the wiser?
Well, obviously, it must have. It must have. We just didn't know how to start it again. Yeah. I mean, you know, in those days, the old Bedford trucks could be a bit bloody finicky and stuff. Yeah. So, God, but we did it. We never got our lollies, but we got the truck back.
Okay, so everyone's probably sitting out there thinking, okay, Ria, and well, that's a great story. So, for those of you who are wondering, how does she fit into the story? So, Ria is one of our ahikaa for Tūtama Wahine, well known within the org and often seen at all of our kaupapa. And that story that she just told there is only the beginning, whānau. It's only the beginning. There are so many stories that she has told me over the years that are great conversation starters. You can often find yourself just totally captured by the storytelling skills that Ria has, and that's why I asked her if she would come on Koniahi Kōrero with us for that, because she's got some funny hard case stories of her whole life, but also just to get an idea of what her reconnection story or journey has been along the way with Te Ao Māori, and and her own real journey that began not so long ago, I guess, and it's been a real pleasure to be a part of the reclamation of Ria's ao, I suppose. And so part of that has been exposed to these hard case stories, and her whānau, actually, meeting her whānau at her birthday and stuff like that. So that takes me to my next question. Oh, I just feel like you need to share the story about your OE. I feel like it's just so great. It needs to be told far and wide.
So, when I was 21, after my 21st birthday, I went overseas. We went to Australia first with a couple of others and did a camping tour around Australia. And then I went over to England and I was meeting up with supposed to be this friend of mine was supposed to meet me at the airport, but didn't turn up. So I called, and I knew I had to get to Euston Station, so I went to Euston Station. But I didn't have, and I thought they'd be there. But you know, we're talking about the days when there was no EFTPOS machines or cards. You know, you had to rely on a bank. And of course, most of my money was in. I didn't have enough money, putia, to get to. I was going to Liverpool, and I didn't have enough money. So I thought, oh well, they didn't turn up. I'll just sleep at the railway station until the morning, and then I'll go and go to the bank and get some money. Here I am. You know, I'm quite naive, really. Anyway, so this porter come up to me and he asked me what I was doing, and I told him my situation. I was going to do that, and he was a darkie, and he says, no, you can't do that. And I says, well, I've got nothing else I can do, so I'm going to stay here. He says, no, you come home with me, and I'll look after you, and then I'll bring you back. You know, bring you back next day. Okay? And you know what I bloody did? I bloody went. And you're walking down the street holding my hand, and I thought, oh, this is not looking good.
Oh my gosh,
And
man.
then we get back to his place, and then he starts doing up the bed and stuff, and I says, oh, I don't think so. I want to go back to the station.
And so did you?
And he took me back, and he gave me the money to get to Liverpool. And then I come back to London the next day and went to the bank and I paid him, but he wasn't very, very nice. You know, wasn't very.
You'd rejected him.
Not too bad.
So there you go. That. Fancy doing that. Yes, fancy you putting your face in some dude who you'd just met at the railway station. But luckily he was a nice guy. At the end of the day, though, you know.
Well, at the end of the day wasn't he?
Yeah. Might have thought he was going to try his luck a little bit, but he quickly got the vibe that was not going to go down. Now, that's only that's number 2 funny story that Ria has to share with us, but we'll get to the other ones maybe later in the Kōrero. But so, whānui, this is take 2 for Ria and I. We were supposed to actually play this last week, but we had technical difficulties, so we've had to re-record. So going off what we talked about last week, we just added those 2 stories in there for all of your listening pleasure, really. But we're going to cut through to how you ended up here in Ngā Motu, because as you said, you've been born and raised down in the Horo Whenua, and now you're up here. So how did you end up in New Plymouth?
Well, so as my working life started in 1973, and I work at the Live-in Telephone Exchange. You know, that was a government job, and yet job for life. That's, you know, that was supposedly how it was. Anyway, of course I went overseas, but before I left, I applied for positions elsewhere in the country, you know, so I like a higher grade than what I was, not thinking that I'd get any. Anyway, so off I go, and I go overseas, and then I was talking to Mum, and she said, you've got a letter to say that you have been offered a position in New Plymouth, in Ngā Motu. And so I thought, I carried on with my OE, and they kept the position open for me. And so, yeah, and then when I came back, I came up. So I was away for a year, and I came up here. And, you know, I'm very much a homebody. I don't know why I travelled, really, because I missed home all the time. I used to ring up home crying. And I get up here, and, I don't know, nothing. So I got hold of the welfare officer before I came up, and he was arranging somewhere for me to stay, and, you know, and arranged for someone to meet me at the bus stop. Well, none of that happened. None of that happened. I went to the place that he was supposed to book me in, and he hadn't. So, God, stress. So I ring up Mum and Dad again, bawling my eyes out, I want to come home. But alas, I've been up here over 40 years. So in the Toll Exchange, that's where I met Calv. Not that we got together immediately, but, you know, over time we did. And, and then I left. And working in that environment was like, it was like a big whānui because of the hours that we worked. We socialised together as well, you know. That was our group of friends, really. And then, so of course, restructuring and the selling off of services like that. So telecom, the New Zealand Post was separated, and the Toll Exchange became telecom, and so it was all centralised to Auckland or Christchurch. So of course we lost our jobs, which is fine. I remember this woman from Winds coming in to speak to us, and here she is with her bloody bracelets and baubles and whatever, you know, all done up and makeup, coming in there telling us that we will have to change our lifestyles. And I thought, how dare you? Actually, you know nothing about us. That got up my goat. I did challenge that as well. And you know, it was a big thing because it was supposed to be a job for life, and anyway, made redundant. So be it. I think I got the benefit for. I think I got 2 payments. I walked the streets looking for jobs, and I eventually got a job with the Bank of New Zealand. What a different world that was. It was a corporate society. I didn't fit into that corporate world, and then they got brought out by Australia, one of the Australian banks, and so more restructuring. And you know, if you weren't shaped in a certain way or talked in a certain way, you didn't fit, and I didn't fit, and I knew I didn't fit. So they offered me a position in Wellington, and then at that time, Calvin and I were engaged, and we were building a house, and they knew that, and so of course I didn't take it. But I would never go back to that again, never. And then from there, I worked for a company called Home Care 2000, which turned into Healthcare New Zealand eventually. So I used to go out and do cleaning and showering and supporting these lovely people out there, young and old at times, you know. And I worked mainly in Inglewood. And so I built up quite a little client base out here, and great rapport with these people. Sometimes I was the only person they saw, you know. So I used to take them to get grocery shopping, and we were allowed to do that. Then they brought that in that you weren't allowed to do that, and I thought, well, stuff it, I'm going to do it anyway, regardless.
So why did they change that?
I don't know. You know, just changes that they make, and I don't know. I mean, that's you know, how are they going to get it? What other way? Have to go and pay someone to do it. Anyway, I did it. I did stuff, yes, I'm going to do it. And then Healthcare New Zealand went into mental health, so I was offered the opportunity to do my mental health certificate, which I did. And there was 4 of us, and we used to travel to Wanganui once a week to UCOL, and that was for a year. Did that, and so and I worked for Healthcare New Zealand for 20 years, and then I did. So during that time, I started my social work degree, encouraged by. I guess we worked a lot with Te Raupani, as it was at the time. You know, that's when Tui Ora they weren't all amalgamated into Tui Ora. They were kind of a separate identity. So we did a lot of work with them. Like they used to refer to us, and I was the one that actually worked with all the Māori whānui. So but actually when I did my mental health certificate, my supervisor, he was Māori, and he said to me that I should go and learn the reo. And so after I finished that, I signed up and went to the wānanga, and I did the level, whatever that, what's the first level? Level 1? I don't know. Hori was one of my little tutors there, and then I did that in level 4. I think I went on the following year. I did the following year. I find that at least you're in a area to use it all the time. You kind of use it, but that's not an excuse either. I need to practice all the time, so I can be confident using some of the reo. Anyway, so so I started my social work degree, and I was in my final year, I think, or just coming up to my coming out to whānui, and then I got approached by tūtama wahine to see if I would go and work for them. But I said I haven't finished my study yet. That didn't seem to bother them. So I hummed and hard, because, you know, you get quite secure. It was like a safety net for you where you were. And I thought, oh, and I'd heard so much, and I thought, I'm not sure whether I should or whether I shouldn't. So anyway, I decided to, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And they've been part of my journey of reconnecting to my my Māoritanga culture, you know, because when I grew up, I lost that. We spent a lot of time at the marae. My mum was Māori, Dad Pākehā, and we used to spend a lot of time at the marae. But I don't know. I just got to a stage where I didn't want to be Māori. And and I did. And then as I started getting older, and I thought, yes, I do. I so do. And that's before I came to Tūtama. And I knew that I needed to reconnect. And things happened at the marae. Things happened with our hapu, and, you know, some things weren't very nice, the way they treated my mother anyway. And I thought, and I don't know that I necessarily want to reconnect as such. But I need to get over myself as well. But I need to go back to who I need to be Māori. I want to be Māori. I want to reinstate that in myself. And so Tūtama has been a big part of that in helping me.
So what does that look like for you? I mean, you did answer it a little bit there, because I was thinking when you said, you know, I didn't want to be Māori. Was that something that was fostered in you by way of, you know, education, I guess, you know?
So it certainly wasn't fostered in me in my whānau, you know, and that's that concept. But, no, you know, there was education. There was no education. We weren't taught anything Māori. There was nothing in the curriculum that addressed the wars. I never knew about half the stuff until I came up here, like ahikaa. I never knew about that. Isn't that terrible? It's absolutely shameful that I didn't know that. I do now. And you listen to all the, like today, really, I don't listen to them. I get pretty angry, but you listen to all those negative, I don't like to call them people either, all that horrible stuff that's said about Māori in the past, and it continues today. But that was one of my big influences in those days. Listening to what I shouldn't be listening to and not being taught. And yet, as I said, I spent all many hours and days down the marae. And, you know, growing up, so my mum, so our marae is at Ohau, and Kuku Beach Road is where my mum was brought up, and that's where all her whānau lived down there. And at the end was Kuku Beach, and we used to go out in the summer. We were out there every Sunday after a big roast dinner, but we had to wait for the roast dinner to settle. And in the river we went, and then crossed the river over to the sea to get puppies and and we were brought up out there. And then at Christmas time, like immediate whānau that had Christmas together. And New Year's Day, we'd all head out the beach under the willow tree. This is my grandfather's house, my kuka's house out there. Under the willow tree, all the cousins, all the aunties and uncles, and big, massive feast, you know. It was great days, and a long drop.
Just put that in there, and a long drop. So what are the, you know, just talking about your real journey over the years and that reclamation, like what, I mean, because we can talk about it, you know, yes, there was nothing on offer in some schools education-wise, so you only knew what you were taught. And then, you know, somewhere along there, though, you've decided, actually, what was I thinking? Of course, I am Māori, so it's not about mainly wanting to be Māori. It is what it is. That's what I am. And there's been a realization for you. How does it feel like being an adult in that phase of your life, you know?
I think I probably that I have a better understanding of what happened, probably better understanding of why I felt like I did, and through my studies, that's really helped me understand myself as well, because you had to reflect often on yourself in assignments and stuff. You had to, and I was an adult. I was an adult studying because I studied later in life. So it became for me. I'll never explain. I don't think I can ever explain why really I did feel like that. But I certainly feel a bit shameful, really, that I did. I can't take it away, but I can make changes in myself.
Yeah. So, like you just said, you started studying later in life, because this was another reason why I thought it would be awesome for us to have a kōrero, because we graduated at the same time with our degrees. And even though I'm younger than you, I was still older, you know, a person older in my 30s who had started, I was too, started my degree again, another degree again in my older years, and then we've both gone on to do our postgrad stuff at the same time too. So everybody, Ria's actually graduated with her postgrad diploma in supervision, professional supervision, and that's where I'm heading as well. So what's that like, you know? Degree in your older years, then you go on to postgrad. I mean, is the master's up in that drill too?
Oh, one never knows. No, not at the moment, but one never knows.
Yeah.
One never knows. I just need that. I need that break, really. Yeah. Because, man, it's pretty intense, isn't it, study? Pretty intense. And
very.
Trying to get assignments in, and you're working, and perhaps if I retired, I might think, okay, I might
Why
do
not?
But I can't see myself retiring yet, though.
Were you, like, in the bigger scheme of things in your class, where were you age-wise? Were you one of the older ones, or were there a few of you? Or
I was. I mean, I had a scholarship from Te Aorangi, and so that covered most. You know, I had it mostly all my years of study, and so that group of that cohort was a lot of older students, and young ones as well. But it's funny that study. So you go and whatever paper you're doing, and sometimes there was quite a big chunk of young people in that group, and you were one of the older ones. But you know, just quite naive. There's quite a lot of naivety out there, and the opinions were certainly not mine. I challenged a lot, because no reality about how the world is out there, you know. They think they know everything, but actually they don't. Yeah.
Oh, funny.
You know, sometimes you had to challenge, because some of the things that they would say are quite derogative. And if you're going to be a social worker, you shouldn't be talking like that anyway, because that's not what social working is.
Right. So you've got your degree. You already had the experience because you'd been working in the field for so long. I just do want to take it back a little bit to the reclamation journey. because I think it's quite important when we're talking about the study. I know that when I did this degree, and we had to, the first year is fully about self-reflection. Hey, it's all about yourself. So you go in there and you almost think, oh no, I'm all good. Like, I just need this qualification. Like, that's what I'm there for. And by the end of probably the first wānanga, not even the first year, the first noho, I would say 98% of us who were there realized, oh, we were on a journey. You know, like, this was actually not about a qualification. This was about life, and this was about really...
Absolutely, it was. I remember my first assignment, and that was a self-reflection. It was you talking about yourself, and I wrote lots. And I know the comment from the tutor was, "My gosh, you're a good storyteller." This is probably not the right academic. This is not like academic writing, but you're good storyteller. So, you know, I had to learn from that. Again, I did, I guess. Yeah. But so you have lots of, you know, at my age, I've got lots of stories to tell.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But I did like that it was quite a self-reflective journey the whole way through.
Absolutely.
So that first year, especially, learning about yourself, and because that was the whole thing. If you can't self-reflect on yourself, then who are you to go into someone else's home when you can't even look at your own backyard, sort of thing. And then getting through to all of the theoretical stuff and through the academics and whatnot, and then deciding to go back for postgrad, because I remember when we finished and we were like, that's it, man, I'm not going back. That was so stressful, working full-time plus doing the study. Hikama. And then here we both are, and you've graduated. And so what's that like for you? You know, you're saying you're a queer now, and just to add to this, no, we'll stick here. You're a queer now, and does it provide you with a sense of fulfillment, or are there other things in life that are fulfilling for you?
It does give me a sense of fulfillment. As I graduated at 65 with merit, I've never, my ability to do that, I'm quite astounded, really. I don't know how that happened, but yeah. And I mean, lots of things fulfill my life, really. You know, I love my garden. Yeah. Cal, he fulfills my life tremendously, you know. We're good mates.
Cute.
And
yeah.
Yeah.
And what about...
I'm pretty simplistic, really.
Yeah. So Ria's the lady who feeds us. She feeds us. She's the gardener. She's the kui of us all. And another lovely story too is the most recent addition to, addition to your whānau. You know, the discovery of this nephew of yours who brings a mokopuna into your life as well.
Yeah.
If you don't mind sharing, because that's quite a good interesting kōrero for everyone to hear.
Yeah, so my brother, he's passed away, but he was gay. He was in Vietnam, actually. He was over there in the army at that time. But so we didn't know that at that time. But he met a lady here in New Zealand and brought her home. I don't actually remember her, but some of the other whānau members do. And then he left and went over to Australia to live, because at that time being gay was more accepting over there than it was here. So he did that. Anyway, of recent times, there's this person has been looking for our whānau, and he did a DNA test, and at 99% connected him to us. Anyway, so he made contact with a cousin and forwarded that on to my other sister. And you just saw the photo, and it was that there was no doubting who he was, no doubting whatsoever. So we have this new whānau in our life, and he just wants to soak it all up. And so he used to work in the disability sector, but now he's a stay-at-home dad that has a son who's got ADHD and is autistic. So he cares for his son. His son's coming up 12. But when he was working in that field, there was a time when they went to the marae, and this kaumātua said to him, he said, you need to learn your whakapapa. You have some connections. In Māori, you have connections in Māori. Anyway, so he just wants to soak it all up. So he's actually enrolled next year in learning the reo, a full immersion.
Oh, me.
Oh, my goodness me.
Awesome.
And he came and visited us all in Levin, and we went to the marae, but we didn't go in. I think that's another time when I think he needs to be welcomed on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this time was just for us. Yeah. But he just so wants to soak it all up. He just wants to be part of everything, really. It's lovely. It's very lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. There you go. I mean, I think the whole point of this kōrero was, one, to show that reconnection can happen at any time in your life. Look, you're an example, and so is the nephew who has found his wakapapa back into to kōrehe through your whānau. Yeah. So there's two people who are reconnecting, and the study journey doesn't have to be straight out of uni. It could come later in life, and and just finding that thing that you want to do may not necessarily be as soon as you leave school, because I think that's a bit of a misconception, which is an interesting misconception, because many people who I went to school with, we're totally not doing what we thought we were going to do when we were at school.
Absolutely.
So it's around just living a bit of a life and patience and figuring it out as we go. Nā reira, Ria, you got any parting messages for everyone who's listening?
I think just believe in yourselves, really, and be proud of who you are. Be proud of who you are. That's really important, because if you don't, then you're lost. Yeah. You're really lost. You are lost. Yeah. Life sends us many trials of trials and tribulations, but that's what life is. You got to have the challenges to have the good times as well. So, so my challenge is that I'm reconnecting, and think for people like you. I'm thankful to people like you and to Tama Wahine for helping me on that journey. And I'm not sure when now, but sometime in the future, I am going to have a moko kawai. And be proud of that.
Yeah. Kei a koe te kōwhiringa, Ria, kei a koe te kōwhiringa. Nā reira e te whānau, tēnā koe, Ria. Thank you for joining us today. It's been a pleasure. Nā reira e te whānau, e mihi ana ki koutou katoa e whakarongo mai nei ki tēnei o ngā hōtaka o Koniahi kōrero. O tira ki koutou katoa e mātakitaki mai nei hoki. I tēnei o ngā pāpāhotanga, koe nei ngā mihi matakuikui me ki koutou katoa. Nā reira e te whānau, kia haumaru ai tonu te noho ki roto i wā koutou nei kāinga. Hei konei, hei kona.